through this mic, and then I'm probably transmitting through that mic as well.
Oh, so maybe I was hearing two things. I don't know. Well, we're
We're
live right
live,
now, Wayne. Anyway, so it doesn't matter. It
and it's
sounds
all
perfect
better.
now. It sounds
Oh, that's
perfect.
great. That's
So
cool.
now, so now we'll see how many just jump right back in. This is 2 weeks in a row, the same thing, and it's funny because
I
we
see.
were
I
in.
don't see anything.
So on the right hand side, you should see comments, and then you'll see people starting to come in.
No, I see nothing.
You don't see a tool like a toolbar on the right side that says
Oh
comment.
yeah, comments. Yeah.
So we got 4 people on now.
So it doesn't show me that, but it doesn't matter. Well, hopefully I'll be able to see. Oh yeah, there's
Here
people.
we are.
People are. Yeah. Okay.
What's interesting is last week with I went live with a soul called Joel. I don't know if you know who.
He plays guitar.
Yeah, just like the
Hmm.
coolest guy ever.
Hmm.
And same thing. We're in the back in the studio talking before going live. We press live, and then the echoing starts, and it's nobody can hear it except on my end.
Yeah. So I think that where the tech issue lies is if you have these things in and you're trying to go through a mic, no, no bueno.
Ah,
That's
so
Spanish. That's
oh,
Spanish.
it's good.
You're,
It's good.
I'm here all day. Where in Costa Rica are you?
So have you been? Hey, you've been here before?
No,
No? Oh,
no,
so
no.
I'm on the South Pacific side. So close to a
Oh,
town called Dominical. It's like a cool surf village. My
sounds
brother,
like a tequila that would
my
mess you
brother,
up.
my brother said we both sound lovely, so that's nice.
Oh, thanks, bro. You sound lovely too. Like your words, your text sounds
Yeah,
lovely.
it's very
I
nice.
feel I don't understand how people can do that, man. I don't understand how people can put so much emotion behind a text message. Like what did you mean by that? Well, I just said happy birthday. Yeah, but you said it like I was old. Like they put that. Do you know what I mean?
Dude, this is why I send you voice messages. I don't do text very well because I can't express myself properly.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the voicemail. I make video messages. I like sending videos to
I know, I
people.
like those too. And then I
It's a
tried to do
nice.
that with you too, and I couldn't even get those to work.
No, you were like, but it's funny because a buddy of my, the guy I do the podcast with, Alex, his phone, he has a Google phone or one of them ones, Samsung, and it
Hmm.
was doing the same thing. So
And you're an Apple guy through and through.
through and through, yeah, yeah, yeah.
See,
Apples.
I'm a Mac guy. Like my MacBook Pro and my MacBooks are everything. And then I on my phone I'm a Samsung guy. I don't know. I don't get it.
That doesn't even make sense. And you say you're mindful,
Well, and you're mindful-ish,
mindful-ish, man.
right?
It's so true. Yeah, yeah.
Well, we
I
got.
I I mean it though. Like I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Mindfulness is a huge thing, brother. Because
I know.
you know what I think, and here's to put something into perspective right away, like right off the bat, like we're not wasting any time.
Hmm.
I think saying that you are healed is almost as bad as saying you think you know everything.
Who
Like
the
I don't believe for 1 second that you will ever be healed. And I think when I realized that, I could start doing the work to heal. You know what I mean? Like it was yeah. Hey, what's up, Rachel?
I love that. Hey, soul fam. Hey, assholes. I think it just goes together really well.
Yeah.
I love it. But yeah,
That's
no,
great.
I don't think I could ever call myself healed. I mean, I've healed a lot of shit, but man,
Yeah.
are you kidding me? Like
I
I've seen a
hate
lot of that's just I don't any person in any type of space healing space or whatever space who says I've healed all my wounds. I don't know, man. I don't know
mhm.
if I can trust them.
They can't trust them.
No.
They can't trust them. Yeah, you know what, man? I hope to hell I'm never healed. My son is 18 now, and he said to me this summer we were having dinner, and he goes, Dad, when did you figure it out? I'm like, figure what out? And he goes, your life. I said, kid, I'm 41 and I haven't figured. But don't be a rush. Don't be in such a rush to figure it out. Like that's what builds the legacy is figuring it out and making mistakes and falling down. it sucks at the time, but come on, it's so worth it.
Oh, so tell me this: when did you have your first dark night of the soul? Like when was that for you, or your first like rock bottom in the ditch kind of
Oh fuck,
moment?
man. I excuse my language. No. I feel like I feel like we go through like mini rock bottoms. I feel like my rock bottom started the day I had my first trauma or tragedy and I didn't know how to deal with it. I think my rock bottoms have come in all shapes and sizes, some darker than most. I've had fleeting thought before, but last Christmas, man, like I don't know if I could honestly look at myself in the mirror and say that that was a fleeting thought. Like I was there, like I was ready. I
Really?
just yeah, my I sat for months and months and contemplated my worth on this earth, and I could
Mhm.
not come up with the positives because a negative mindset breeds a negative mindset, and if
Absolutely.
it's just you know, there's no you can justify anything. And
So that was a year ago.
yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. It was just a really shitty Christmas. Yeah, it was. It's the best day of my life.
Mm.
Honestly, I feel like if I didn't have that rock bottom, I would still be in that mindset. I wouldn't have done that work, man. Like it humbled me to the point where I just because I've always loved humor and I've always loved self-deprecation and I legit
Right.
just started laughing. And I knew at that moment that I was gonna make the change. So
So,
yeah.
so that's what Veronica's asking. What got you out of that pit? Like, what was it? Was it a moment? Was it a a moment with God? Was it a moment? What
No.
was what was it?
I think my moment was just I I couldn't there was one thing that I couldn't justify, like I couldn't justify um like all the work that I couldn't justify it because I had done so much work up until that point and I couldn't let it just be for nothing. And and I got to this point, I shit you not, and I guess maybe this is the best way to answer that. It's when I realized that it was my own bullshit that I was sick and tired of. It was nobody else's bullshit.
That's
When
fucking hard, though.
when I learned that when I was like, "Whoa, wait a second,
Yeah.
maybe I am the common denominator."
Hmm.
I was like, "Well, I can fix it because it's me."
Hmm.
And I'm trying. I still fuck up. I've had rock
Oh
bottom
yeah,
since that one.
yeah. So that's. I don't think I talk about that enough. Um, love him or hate him. Like Jordan Peterson said something about it the other on a video I saw. He said, "Sit at the end of your bed and ask yourself what bullshit you're bringing into your life that is causing this. What look at your life and what you're doing or what you're bringing into your experience that's causing this suffering because you'll find it. You just got to be really real with yourself." And for me, it was like I was sick and tired of my own bullshit. And I had to look at myself in the face and go, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. And every single time I act that way or behave a certain way or do whatever that is, it's the same result.
Yeah. What
So
goes around comes around, man. And that's in internally or externally. What goes around comes around. If you if you stand in your mirror and you tell yourself you hate yourself every day, guess what? You're gonna hate yourself.
yeah,
But
man.
if you stand in the mirror and say, I love you and I'm gonna love myself, eventually it's gonna stick. It's gonna
Hmm.
come back around. And then you're gonna realize that that love it's just a lot easier. It's just fucking life is so much easier. And I've done all the forgiving that I've needed to do in myself and in others.
Yeah.
I've let other people do whatever they want to. I try my hardest. When I was in a negative mindset, I was always in other people's business. I was
Yeah,
always
man.
trying to figure out what everybody else was doing
Yeah,
because it distracts you from you,
of
man. Like it
course.
distracts, and misery loves company. So you
Uh-huh.
try to find. Oh, did you hear about Sheila and Robert? And you're like shit talking them like you just finished
Yeah.
fighting for 3 weeks about lean ground beef, and you're sitting there talking about other people because you're in a negative mindset. So
We
I,
would, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
man.
Man,
So
I'd sit in the rumor mill too, like call it the water cooler talk, or I worked in a prison, so you could imagine there's a lot of that, and you catch yourself talking about someone you just hung out with 3 days ago, just because you're in the vibration of talking about people, and you're like, I really like that guy, I really like this person, and you just get caught up in it, and a lot of times when especially when I started to post like uplifting stuff it started on Facebook, like, oh, love yourself and everything else will come after that, and just little things. And then when I started doing that, people were like, what's with all the positivity? You can't be happy all the time. Like you get to a point where it's like, what is it? Toxic positivity. Or I can't remember what the freaking word was. And they asked, why did I decide to go down that road and be that? And I'm like, because I've been the opposite. I've done the opposite of that, and it didn't work.
yeah,
It
you know
didn't
what's
work.
you know what's messed up, man, is that we we have the ability to change so much in ourselves as soon as we look inward, and we don't realize until most of the time it's too late that you screwed up. But when you go down, when you get out of that negative mind, that's when you get out of that negative space and you've been humbled for a while, you'll never go back.
No.
And 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 I love when people say you can't always, whenever I see you now, you're just always happy. Well, that's because I've created boundaries where when I'm being a dick, or when I'm in a bad place, I go deal with it on my own instead of bringing people with me. If I don't have anything, some of the most simple messages in life were in Disney movies, man. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. However, I mean, we're human, and to give yourself a little bit of grace when you slip up or when you get
It's important.
gossipy, because gossip is fun, man. Just don't be damaging about it.
Yep.
Our
Yep.
biggest problem in society today is us. Our biggest problem in society today is that we believe that other people are looking at us in a negative light. We believe that the world is judging us.
Hmm.
We're all guilty of it. We all fucking do it. But at the end of the day, if you get rid of that notion and just think, man, I'm not judging me, so why the fuck would anybody else be judging me? You know, go do you. You'll just All you get out of that is you'll just be a kinder, gentler human being. You'll lead without your ego.
You can't lose by doing that either.
No.
You just can, man. And like we talked a little bit about how we started our social media content, call it whatever you want, uh, as creators on here, and the reason we did it, and how easy it is to get caught up in the nonsense of the followers and the comments and the stuff like that. So, like, what brings you back home when you get caught up in the ego when it comes to this?
My humbling moment, which I literally just went through, and I've got to thank my girlfriend. Is like the most understanding. I talk about this stuff all day every day, and I talk to her all day every day, and she's not a big social media person. She likes to watch and listen when she puts up posts. They're pretty beautiful and whatever, but she's listening to me go on, well, I don't know why I'm losing followers, and I don't even know. But then I'd be like, I don't know why I'm looking either. So I couldn't, like, I can't justify it. Like at 1 second, I feel like I'm this, 20 something year old that's trying to be an influencer, which I'm not at all, nor will
Right.
I ever be. But I'm like, I don't know. And then I look at when I know that I'm going down that rabbit hole now, I can catch myself and stop when I start looking at analytics because I don't know what any of it means. So I'll just go on it and I'll look and I'll be like,
I've done this.
yeah. And then
I'm
I
like,
just,
let's check the data. I'm like,
I,
what?
I'm reevaluating my posts. I'm, I'm, I'm Googling hashtag strategies,
Oh, what's?
like I'm,
Oh, I heard. Yeah.
fucking horrible,
The
man.
damn algorithm changed. I heard it's just
I'm on YouTube again. The algorithm. I got to post at 3:33 p.m. today.
10
Jesus,
a.m., dude. Only 10 a.m. Always 10 a.m.
I
I
know.
can't. I just can't. And it is hilarious. It is hilarious. And like I was telling you earlier, I'm like, some people ask me like, wow, you grew pretty quick and you got these fault. Like, how do you do the TikTok? I'm like, I don't really know anything. Like, I know how to put a picture in the background. Like, I've figured that out. And a few times I've done, I don't know. Like, I say the words, I say what I
Yeah.
feel, and I just post it. And you just kind of got to be you.
Thank you, Veronica. I really appreciate those words. You know what's funny is that I do that. I do a podcast with a really good buddy of mine that I met on social media.
Hmm.
He's become one of my best buddies, if not my best friend. And his name's Alex Scooby. And we have a podcast called the Zen Amp Podcast. Now, Alex is a 49-year-old, 6'5" giant. He's an actor. He was in like King of Queens and stuff like that. And his wife is Mo Collins, and she was in Mad TV as Stuart's mom and
Everybody
Lorraine, and
knows Stuart's mom.
yeah, and Parks and Rec, and they're really good friends of mine, really, really good. And I don't know if they're on here. I hope they are. But Alex and I are not techie people whatsoever. When I went down to Texas, we
Let me
tried to
help you
do.
next time.
Oh, we tried to do a podcast live and live on YouTube and
Yeah.
crashed, and next thing you know, it was horrible. But he's into the numbers side of it now. I'm into the editing stuff, and he's
Right.
getting into the numbers. And we have the same moment where we, like, every couple months we reevaluate everything. He's looking at the numbers, and I'm pretending I know what he's talking about, and then we just say at the end of it, and this is kind of my mindful moment with that stuff, is that it's okay to get caught up about that stuff, but the second that you go through that moment and you are humbled a bit, and
Yeah.
because there's a lot that comes with this stuff, and and like, you're always trying to create, and you always want to create good content, so just create good content. And
Yeah.
the second you stop thinking about who cares, you know what? It takes one comment or one message saying,
Yeah.
"Hey, you inspired me today," or "Hey, you made me laugh," or
Changes
"Hey,
everything.
I'm good, man." So at
Yeah.
the end of the day, I'm still gonna do those panicky things, but at the end of it, I don't really care. I don't really care.
It's a learning process for me, big time. Because I think you said I don't think you've had a negative comment on one of your videos.
I got asked to not call somebody an asshole once.
That's it. Like, but 99.99% of your stuff is positive, and that's beautiful. And for me too, like I really don't have that many trolls. But you know me, I'm in the woo woo. I love the woo woo. I love the
You love
magic.
the woo woo,
I
and
love it.
I don't think people give me negative comments though, because I look like I'm kind of like a cross between The Rock and then that other guy. Who's that other guy that he was in, like, The Fighter, and then he was like, um, always, he was Kane in Batman. What's his name?
I don't know, man. I don't know where this
Big
is going.
Jack. Anyways, I feel like people are just scared to leave negative comments because I'm so hunky. Like, I'm so.
It's the onesies that get me every time. How many
Oh,
onesies do you have?
well,
How
so I
many?
had, what do you mean, onesies or
Well,
tracksuits?
the tracksuits the red Adidas one is my all-time
I
fave.
was wearing it. I was actually going to wear it tonight,
You
but then
should have worn
I
it.
changed. I changed into. I'm gone. I went Okanagan chic. That's what
Yeah,
this is, right?
yeah. You're bang on with that. More of a Nelson. You have more of a Nelson look, Nelson BC
There you
look.
go. I'm actually going to throw you under the bus. So before we went live, you know what he says to me? He goes, "Oh, I missed wearing hoodies." I'm like, dude, you're sitting in Costa Rica, and you look at my ass. I poured hot water on steps to melt ice down to the hot tub
I
earlier
miss that.
today. Yeah, I missed wearing hoodies. Well, you know what I miss? Warmth.
Yeah, there's no shortage of that. Like I was telling him, I said there are some things I miss about winter. There's not many, but I miss hoodies. I miss joggers. I miss hoodies. I miss cozy clothes. I can't put that on right now. Poor me. Like I'll.
Let me
I'm,
ask you a question. Do you believe in seasonal depression?
so I used to be a huge. I can't say yes and no, but I do know that come fall for me, when I was not feeling good, I was up and down on my depression all the time, and
Hmm.
fall was like almost bang on. But then I asked myself, was this a belief I started to believe? Was this something I started to believe and anticipate? Because I don't know, there was a pattern. And then I asked myself, because I started to understand, the power of belief. And I'm like, well, shit, my dad would say, oh, it's fall, just be aware. My dad would go down too. My dad would definitely get lower around fall time. November, usually, when it starts to get that first real cold and the first snow falls in Manitoba. But yeah, so I would see that pattern for sure. But again, I don't know if it's actual thing or not. What do you think?
Well, it's funny because um, when I lived on Vancouver Island from 2005 till 2011, and I was fine all year long.
So
I didn't have as many lows. I could focus. Now I was really busy with my job at the time. I was still in the military as a firefighter, so I was posted to the ships. Um, but like, so I was sailing a lot and stuff. But I mean, I was always generally pretty happy. And then I moved to Ontario, and yeah, like, I would get low, but Christmases have always been rough emotionally because my family lives so far away and stuff. And then, being a single dad for the last 5 years too has kind of messed with my mental health a little bit in the holiday season. But like, I find I've consistently have, no matter how low I've always gotten, I've consistently had this resurgence at around like the February to, November. So I'm thinking there's something. I think temperature controls chemicals, and I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I didn't
Because
want you
if
to
you're,
ask me. I just wanted to ask you that question.
well, it's kind of too bad there. You're going to get it right back from me. Yeah,
I
I don't
just
know.
burn
Like,
Palo Santo wood, man. That's all I do.
my wife got me a new one. Isn't it the best smell ever?
Yeah. Do you like you? Yeah, I love it. I love it. So,
I
anyways,
don't. Did you, what was I going to say again? I had a really good question to ask you, and then I forgot it.
I would
That's
love
the.
to
Well,
hear.
we might as well just jump into the ADHD talk then,
Sure.
because tell me what that's like for you. Because I'd never been diagnosed, but I started to jump into ADHD TikTok, and I'm just like, okay, wait, what? All of this,
Hmm.
all of this.
Yeah, ADHD, man. It's something. It's you know what, I always say that I was super lucky to have been diagnosed as a child, and then, especially in the early 90s, because I'm 42, so I would have been diagnosed, um, I don't know, 30 years ago, you know? And I remember going on medication to get me through school. Now, the thing about ADHD in the 90s is that they would tell you, a lot of parents, you'd get the diagnosis, then they would say, oh, well, he's ADD. He doesn't have the hyperactivity, attachment. I'm like, just because you can't see it, my brain, is doing
Yeah,
whatever. And I don't understand that as a kid. Like, let's be real, we feel our way through life as adolescents. But I knew I struggled, and I knew something was wrong, and I knew I couldn't focus. And I always had anxiety around school, and I always had anxiety around new
yeah,
things or new people or whatever. But yet I was able to stand on a stage and, be in a choir or perform or be under a spotlight, and like, and but I was always chaotic. And
did you thrive under the pressure like me? Like when it came down
yeah,
to it,
oh
oh,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
shit.
yeah,
And then it's
yeah.
there, and it's just like you just nail
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, it's because it's all dopamine and norepinephrine.
That's where
But
it
like,
is.
it's the thing about it is I left the medicated world when I was 17, because back then you couldn't be on any ADHD medicine when you wanted to be in the military. So I joined the army right when I turned 18. So I had stopped like cold turkey, and went about my life. But it was cool because the doctor said you grow out of that shit. So I went about my life and I struggled and I struggled. I struggled till last January when I remedicated for it, and I still struggle now. I said to my mom, because a big part of it um, was the fact that it wasn't so much the focus. If the focus was a big issue, short-term memory was becoming an issue. But for me, it's how I was treating people and how I was treating myself.
Mm.
I remember I was waiting for my daughter to get off the bus, and I was about a week into this ADHD meds, and I started this drug called Concerta, which is methylphenidate, which is like Ritalin, but it's longer lasting. It's a slower release, and it's just regulates the norepinephrine, and it helps it attach to the dopamine so you don't,
Sure.
do stuff
Right.
like that. But with medication, remember, if you're going to medicate, you need to move, you need to meditate. Like
Yeah.
you can't do just the one thing because your body will just get used to it and start producing own levels.
Right.
But anyways, I remember I was picking my daughter up at the bus, and I was talking to my mom on the phone. I was a week in, I was 2 weeks in, and she goes, "How's it going?" I said, "It's going really good." She says, "How's your focus?" I said, "Well, I still struggle with focus, but I'm okay with it." And she goes, "Why?" I said, "Because I'm treating myself better, and I'm treating people better.
Mm.
And I don't, I, c- I can handle, struggling to do chores or, live in a little bit of clutter, chaos, and I'm getting better, as I grow. But I, I couldn't handle doing what I was doing to other people because of what I was doing to myself. The thing you got to realize about me, Joey, is that when I started doing this because I felt I every time when you're coined a narcissist, which I was coined a narcissist, and I wore, you know what, I wear that hat. I won't deny the people that I hurt. Um, I won't deny them the ability to call me that. It's deserved. I deserved it. My anxiety and my my mindset, it's not an excuse, but it played a huge role because it's how I treated myself. But I owed it to all of the people that I have hurt. I owed it. I owed it to the people that said that I would never change. And it was just a part of my forgiveness to me because when I was narcissistic, I called myself an accountable narcissist because I knew I was doing it, and I felt so bad while I was doing it, but I could not stop. I could not. I like, and by this I mean, let me be very clear. What I would do is I would date somebody. I would get all excited and get in my feels and get very impulsive, and then I would get scared and I would run for the hills, and then I would come back, and then I'd run, and then I'd come back, and then I'd run, and I'd come. That is all I did, but I would say I'm not healed, it's me, blah, blah, blah. But I destroyed people's hearts. Then I'll shut up. I'll just say this. Women have the tendency when they get out of a relationship to do the work and heal and spend that time with them, and that's just because women are kinder and don't have an ego like we do, and they are caring and thoughtful, usually to themselves until somebody destroys it, um, or like they're women are just wonderful souls, and I'm infatuated by the power of a woman. But women will go get out of a relationship and they will heal and they will do the work and they will do what's needed to get to a place where they can thrive again. And men have a tendency to think we did the work and to
Mm.
go to this, we go into this dating world after we've been in a relationship for a couple of years that we didn't want to be in. So we use that as an excuse to say we've already healed. The next thing you know, we're getting into these relationships with these women, and they're now catering to our mental health needs because we are not healed, but they want to help us. They
Mm-hmm.
want to heal because they're nurturing and caring. But we're not, we can't be helped. We need to heal. Instead, what we're doing is we're taking you out of your mental health, that place
Right.
that you worked so fucking hard to get to. We're taking you, and that's what I did. And I don't know, man. I owe it. I owe it to myself and I owe it to the world to be kind and to not lead with my ego and to be humble and to just be a majestic unicorn.
You did. You are. You are. There's no
I'm
doubt
sorry
about
for
it.
that rant, man.
Oh,
Sorry.
it's perfect. It's beautiful because, but Lo Wolf just said too. We also, she said, the women, us women, we also don't have the stigma like men do. So touch on that, because I know you're up and down with that. You have an opinion on that, and because I mean, I think I'm going to agree and disagree with a few things that you're going to say, but I feel like a lot of men don't even think they have anything to heal. Like I've seen that. I mean, I've been sensitive my whole life. I don't know what it is. Just that's how I was born. There's a unicorn there in the, the comments. But what do you think about the stigma? And you think just touch on it because I can see you just like chomping at the bit.
I think men have made a lot of mistakes generationally and for thousands of years. At some point in this existence of humans, it was decided that a male gender, or not gender, a male was
Yeah,
stronger, more powerful than a woman.
right.
The human being that legit is the only, I think there is a seahorse that is male that can have babies, and then there's something else. Danny DeVito in Twins, but w- women are literally the reason there's life.
Right.
And um, I think that right now, for the last 50 years, men have been losing um, that finally. They've been losing that power, and women have been, coming into true form and doing the things that they need to do. Because, to be completely honest, well, I'll tell you this, and I've been on this rant. My partner, she's like, I agree with you, but you got to learn how to say it. So maybe I shouldn't say it yet, but I can't stop. I don't believe that men should be allowed to be in power of countries. I think we have lost that right, and I believe that everything in history, every war that has been caused, every um, terrorist attack, all of those things, all like this viral, whatever, but like all of those things, they all had ego behind it, and I don't believe, at the least, I don't think war would exist anymore. If there were 203 Margaret Thatchers or Michelle Obamas running this planet, there would be no more war. At least we could go through all the other stuff without war. But we as men have lost there's not a stigma. I think it's just it was time for us to shut up, and we took that the wrong way, and we thought that meant not say anything and not be vulnerable and not be open and not be transparent and hide everything and man up and do all of those things. So yeah, maybe that's a stigma, but I believe that we did need to sit back and we needed to learn how to be humbled, and we needed to learn how to walk this earth kinder and with less ego.
Man, I just don't think it's as easy as man and woman.
No,
I
I
just
agree.
it's just not that it's just not that easy. I don't man, I've seen ego. There's some women in power that I don't know, man. Like,
Well, I don't want. It's not. Yeah, I don't.
you
It's not a
know,
power shot. I just wish that some. All I look at humanity, man, and I'm somebody who has been there. Like I spent 6 months in Bosnia in
yeah,
2000. I've been to. I did the anti-piracy thing in Somalia in 2009. Like I've been to the Arctic and spent time. I've been all over this world, and it is such an immaculate place that we are just destroying, and most of the destruction comes from ego.
for
Most,
sure.
and I don't care how we do it. I just don't. we have an opportunity coming out of this pandemic. And I think that's what people need. There's a lot of everybody's divided in Canada, they say right now, and people are tired and people are on edge. But I truly believe that coming out of this thing, it's going to be the biggest party that has ever happened in over 100 years.
Agreed.
Oh,
But
you know,
I also believe that we're gonna see, call it the awakening, call it a remembering, call everybody was really pushed to go inward during these last few years. And a lot of healing was triggered and a lot of healing was had. And I think, when it comes to the men and the leaders of this world, this old world, I think you're right. But I think we're seeing the resurrection or the of the real man coming back into his power as heart centered and grateful and less ego driven man. I think that's what we're going to see more of. And I'm not just man, but women also. So I kind of got to defend the man on that one.
well, no, and it's not about gender. At the end of the day, it's about energy, and I can tell you this is that feminine energy is much more majestic and beautiful than masculine energy. Estrogen's better than testosterone. I don't know. It's not a battle of the sexes for me. It's just I I haven't I haven't seen much good come out of a lot of things in this world due to people's ego.
Sure.
And my ego was my worst enemy. So I'll
Right.
do I'll do whatever. Yeah, I'll do whatever it takes, man. But I think we're in a good place. Yeah, resurrect a resurgence.
Resurgence. I like that.
Yeah, man. I was gonna say something. I forget. Ask me something.
I was going to ask you about Bosnia. When were you in Bosnia?
2000.
2000. Okay.
2000.
'Cause I had
Yeah.
some friends who served during the Medak pocket.
Okay. No, Medak was in the
90s.
90s. Yeah. Yeah. I have a couple, but my buddy Craig Orchek was in Medak. Another guy, oh, I should know his name. His Jeep is in the War Museum. Yeah.
Wow.
Medak was a bad go, I guess. Yeah.
Some of the stuff I've heard them walking in, some of the villages, just I only heard the stories and I can't shake the visuals. I can't even
Mm,
imagine how.
mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm. We're going to move on from that.
Moving
Um,
on.
yeah, moving on. Talk to me about your intuition, how you've developed it, how you continue to develop it, trust it, and what
Oh,
that.
fuck yes.
This is one of my
Dude.
favorite.
Um, Intuition to me is one of the most underestimated powers we have as humans.
Couldn't have
You
said it better.
know, but intuition's tricky. And let me give you a scenario. Okay, let me give you a scenario about intuition. And I've been thinking about this a lot. If let's say you're in a relationship with somebody for 10 years. Now out of that 10 years, you weren't happy for 7 of those years, but you stayed for 10 years, right? The first 2 years you were super happy. Then it just went downhill, but you stayed. But you knew that you shouldn't have. And then when you left that relationship, the common theme was, oh, I knew I should have left them a long time ago. It wasn't right for me. I knew this. I knew this wasn't right. Blah blah blah. And then you leave, but you had always known that you should have left. Well, then let's fast forward. You go, you do the work, you do some healing, you meet somebody, and you date them for 6 months, and then you walk away and you leave that relationship and you go, man, I knew after 2 months it wasn't going to work. I just knew there was something in me that, well, that was your intuition. And when you walk away, we generally associate negativity with that, but
Hmm.
it's the exact opposite. The
Right.
first the first time you didn't trust your intuition, it took you 7 years, or it took
Hmm.
you 10 years, 10 years, 8 years, right? Like subtract the 2 years you're having. It took you 8 years to trust your intuition. This time it only took you 6 months. Well,
Exactly.
4 months if you were happy for the first two. And then you'll go back and you'll do healing, and then you'll date a million people, and you'll date them for a week, a month, sometimes one day, whatever. But that's growth. That's your intuition. When we go through heartbreak, and when we go through grief, and we go through um, things that cause anxiousness or nerves or whatever, when we go through those things and we have the ability to harness this, like this this shorter route out of those things, that's because you're trusting your intuition. Your intuition is like, I don't like saying the word over and over again because it's one of those words, if you say it like 6 or 7 times, it's a horrible word to say. But, it's powerful, man. It's powerful. And mm
So,
sorry?
so Joy is saying that's where the lesson is, though. It's in trusting and doing what you had to do in the moment, and learning. And maybe that was all written. Maybe that contract with this person, because I'm going to get spiritual with it. Maybe that contract was that amount of time, and you had to go through that suffering or doubt and fear and everything else to get through it to that moment of being okay. So I can see both sides of it, and I don't disagree with any of it. It's a tough one to kind of dissect because I think we've all been in those situations.
I think you need to. I mean, we need tragedy.
Yeah,
You need to go through things. How else are you gonna be humbled? Remember well, they were fed by the silver spoon. Well, basically, what you're saying is that that person has never gone through which is impossible. We as humans all go through shitty things, but, when you say somebody's been fed, but they've never had to go through anything. They've never had to go through anything, and one, it's not true, but, I think that those things, having the ability to go through those things and not stay in them. I guess from my point of view is because when I would get into a low, I'm not into a low like a normal. Well, I mean, I don't know what normal is, but another kind of human being that doesn't dwell. I could stay in a low place for months. Well,
yeah,
now I only stay in a low place for a couple of hours. That's
yeah,
growth, and
yeah,
I'm fine with that. I'm fine, even if it lasts a couple of days. I'm fine with that.
yeah, yeah. For me
You
too,
know.
it'd be weeks, months. Uh, Now, even I don't like those few days, especially if it goes into a week, and I'm like, "Ugh," I get frustrated and I kind of beat myself up. But I don't have to look back very far to see, holy shit, this would have been a long 2 months. January and February of just beating myself up, maybe going to the bottom of the bottle every day or every 3, 4 days and doing all the old things. But you're right. And then now you look at intuition and then going against social norms or conditioning when it comes to leaving people, or maybe, whatever the situation you're in. Now you're going against judgment of others too and all that stuff. So that breeds fear. And then that's usually ego that takes over at that point. And so you have this inner conflict of your soul or your intuition showing you what is best for you, and you kind of going back to what's, I guess, you think is safe. What do you think about that?
But look at all the shit you just did to yourself. And that's
Mm-hmm.
probably over walking away from somebody who's treating you like shit. Like
Right.
that was a perfect layout of the thought process we go through as grown ass adults that have been hurt,
Right.
and the fear of judgment of others.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, and I'm gonna say this, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I mean this from from my core. Who gives a fuck?
Right.
And I don't mean that from a nasty place. I mean,
Right.
think about, so I say it like this. If you are going to spend your time trying to live up to somebody else's standard and that person dies before you, it was all for nothing. You know what I mean? Like, if you are going to spend your life in the shadow of another human being and 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 not give yourself the opportunity to be it authentically and unapologetically you, what's the point? The thing that we got to realize as humans is that we are just that. We are humans, and we are going to have bouts of depression and fleeting thoughts of suicide, and we are going to go through breakups and lose family members because we're all, all of those things are going to happen, and they deserve your grief, and they deserve your sadness, and they deserve your strength, and they deserve your willpower. They deserve all of the things. You're going to go through them.
Mm-hmm.
But why spend your life, either what ifing the world to death, if you don't have to, and you don't have to if you believe in medication, you don't have to if you meditate, you don't have to if you follow through with yourself. But like, why put yourself through that stuff if you can thrive? I did it for 23 years, man. I was the most negative human being on the planet, you know? And this has been the happiest year of my life because I've made it the happiest year of my life,
Yep.
you know?
So that's interesting. So tell me about that, because you say you're the most negative person. So I wasn't the most negative person. I was still the one that joked around. I was still the one that, was the life of the party. And I always looked happy. I was really good at playing that. Really good. And I still think I am when I'm not feeling the best. But were you like visually, were you the negative guy, or were you just in your head you're the negative?
Dude, when I was in some of my most darkest place, I opened for Russell Peters in Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, when I was doing stand-up comedy for Yuck Yucks, or like with Yuck Yucks people. And when I was doing stand-up, I did stand-up for like 5 years out west, and I was good at it. And when I sailed on the ships, I had a radio show that I did every morning where I told jokes, and I brought Russell Peters to the ship to do a show. And like I was doing all of those things. I was the funniest guy you'd ever meet.
Right.
But then I get home and I would stay up for 3 days figuring out if I was going to get fired from my job, or because or if, and I was in the military, you can't get fired. I always thought people were judging. Oh my God, I said that joke last night. I shouldn't have said that joke. I mean, mind you,
Right.
I said some jokes, but like I would just get in my head. But when I would go out and be in the spotlight, I'm just cool, calm, cool, collected
Right.
Wayne because I thrive under pressure,
Mm.
but I wouldn't celebrate the small successes. A couple years ago, I decided that I wanted to become a pilot. I didn't follow through with it for many reasons. A lot of them ADHD based because I cannot do the academics. I learned how to fly an airplane before I learned about an airplane,
Right.
and um, I I would fly this airplane with an instructor. You fly for 20 hours with an instructor, and then you go solo and you practice all the things you've been taught by yourself. And I've wanted to be a pilot since I was 3 years old. I've been flying those flight simulators on the computers for 20 years. And I remember my first solo. He gets out of the airplane, or I go up, I fly my first solo, I land, I get out of the airplane, they throw water on me, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I wouldn't celebrate it. I didn't think I was worthy of that success. I
Mm.
didn't think I was worthy because I have, you know what, man, my life could have played out way different than it is. I have a story, and um, I don't know. I don't know why I treated myself the way I did, but I wasn't negative to other people. I had a temper, but not like it just with my like I would have sucky blowouts, but I've never been a violent human being. I hate any of that stuff. I've always dude, I don't even watch sports. I
Yeah.
watch like 90 Day Fiance and stuff. Like I'm not I've got some tattoos and stuff, but I'm not Mr. Masculine. No,
Yeah.
nope. So I wasn't mean like that. I was mean to myself, but that's just as bad, if not worse. Listen, if you can tell another human being or a pet or love a pair of shoes or love something new or oh my God, I love this so much, or I love my kids. You can take time out to love yourself. And that's just how I live now.
How would you tell someone to start that? Because we've both been to the brink of ending it. We've both been to the time, those moments of like you just don't. There's nothing left. You feel like there's nothing left. What's your advice? What would you do to start your journey? Because I know there's so many different things you can do. Oh, gratitude. Oh, journaling. Oh, meditation. Oh, podcast. It doesn't matter. But what would you say you would tell? Like, what would you tell someone right now really struggling?
The thing I liked about this pandemic is that I was at my worst that year. And the only reason I saw it is because for 3 weeks the world stopped and the energy shifted. If you think about the power of the billions of people and moving parts that when this earth is thriving, the
Right.
energy that that's creating, when it stopped during the pandemic, it hit us differently, and it forced us together, and it forced us, like you said earlier, inward. And when I realized that it was my bullshit and I took accountability for the shit that I was pulling, I literally stood in the mirror, man, and I didn't say a fucking thing. And I looked at myself and I left, and then I did it again, and then I left, and then I joked around one day. I'm like, "Hey," and then I left, and then I went back and I do voice would be like, "Hello, ain't you fucking sexy uncle man," and then I would leave. Then I come back and I do a different voice. I'd be like, "Christopher," what I remember I was doing Christopher would be like, "Oh, hey, I like the way you're wearing your sweater today," or something like that. I would do all these voices, and because that's how I deal with shit. And then
Yeah.
one day I went into the bathroom, I just started fucking crying. And I was like sobbing, man. And I was sobbing because I knew I was there. And I just knew that I was starting to see me. I was coming out of my shell that I had put myself in for so many years because of whatever the fears are, whatever the issues are. And then I just said, "I fucking love you, and you've done more than you think. So stop being a dick, stop being an asshole,
Yeah.
and just thrive." And I did it again, and I still do it. I do it every day. I think mindset is as much as I thought negative thoughts, I think positive thoughts now. Even when I'm negative, I'm trying to find ways to be positive. Like even when I'm negative, if I'm with my girlfriend's name is Kelly. If I'm with Kelly and she's really good at this too. If we're not in a good place, like if we always check in. We have that ability because there's no ego in front of it now. It's just letting someone know you might need the space to look inward again because you've been humbled by something. But I'm always moving forward now. Even when I'm down, I'm moving forward.
I remember telling the yeah, after a lot of my own healing, someone asked me, like, what brought you out of your darkness, and there's a lot of moving parts there. But I keep telling it's the surrender I finally gave in to just allowing myself to feel the stuff I needed to feel, and it stopped fighting it and stop being angry about it and stop having to put a label on it or anything. I just surrendered. And then I remember telling a story. I think one of the first podcasts I did, I don't even remember which one it was. It was years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. And I just went on, I started saying, yeah, I started to love myself. And it was the first time I said it after healing so much. But like the words came out of my mouth and I said, I started to finally love myself. And it's like my inner self was hearing this for the first time. And I just said, holy fuck. Like this doesn't feel weird anymore. Like this feels real. Like this feels like, and now I fucking love myself. There's things I'm
Oh,
still working on. I fucking love myself, dude. Like I can't wait to keep moving forward. I can't wait to grow more. I can't wait to shine more and help more people. And I can't wait to I don't know, like it gets exciting because it was like I think it was one of the first quotes I wrote on Instagram. I said, when you start to love yourself, you start to feel what it's like to be really unstoppable,
yeah, you're
like
fucking
limitless,
free, man.
free.
Yeah, like I had said to somebody once, they go like, "What? Like, do you think it's worth it?" I'm like, "What do I think it's worth it?" I said, I had so much anger towards whatever it was. And the second that I let that go, and the second that I started leading with this foot and being this way, when like just being me and kind and happy and authentic, um, it it just poured out of me, and it poured into other people. And now I'm doing stuff like this, or I'm like talking about it to a few people here and there, and like it means a lot to me because one, it's holding me accountable for the advice that I'm giving myself
Yeah.
because I'm not on here. Listen, I'm not on social media. I'm not on social media to be an influencer. I have zero desire. don't want to, not why I do this. I have no desire to be a life coach. I don't. I'm not here for that. There are plenty of people in this world that give great advice. I am here merely to resonate with other human beings and to let you know that we all go through things. And sometimes, it's nice to know that somebody else is going through some shit, or somebody else can maybe you can jump onto their bandwagon and go through it together. Sometimes it's just nice to know you got somebody in your court. But I don't want to give advice, you
Yeah, but
know.
you're doing it again. It comes down to authenticity. You using what makes you feel good to just be you, and talk about your story. I talk about that all the time. How important that is. Like, look how many people you've reached. Look how many messages you get. Look how many you're telling me now. You're getting stopped in the airports. People are recognizing
Mm,
you now, and I know that's got to
mm.
be ego's going to come again there too, and be like, right, like
Oh,
so. But at the same
oh.
time, you're affecting a lot of people in the most beautiful way, and I don't. You're not an influencer,
My
but you're influencing a lot of people.
my ego needs to be checked with that whole
Of
thing, man.
course.
I'll tell you that right now. Like I'm walking on cloud nine, even yeah, of course I do like that stuff. It makes you feel cool, But I love that when I meet people, they share something vulnerable. Like it's like an automatic response, And I got stopped at a grocery store by this guy. I've seen him a couple times since, and he just outside. We were standing outside in the parking lot, and he confided in me, and he just said something that he wanted to get off his chest, and that's heavy, man. Like when I don't get it. I just yeah, I don't know, man. It's changed me as a human. If this all ended tomorrow, I'm cool with it.
Man.
Um, but like, dude, I met some of the most extraordinary human beings on this planet in a fucking short amount of time, all because I was myself, you
Yeah.
know?
And that's a lesson for everybody. I think
Yeah,
you have
take
no,
that to the bank.
well, no, but
So,
just, like your authentic, the real you that a lot of us are sometimes scared to show is going to resonate with so many people. And it'll all look differently, but the braver you are to just be who you are.
what are
You're,
you scared of? What are you scared of? That's what leaning in feels like. When you lean into something, when you ask yourself, "What am I scared of?" I'll tell you something really kind of magical, and it happened the day before yesterday. So I'm not a huge skier, but I like to ski. Like I grew up, I would go to a couple ski trips as a kid. I learned the fundamentals of ski. I can get down the hill in one piece, but I'm not like, but I dress like
right.
it, but
I
I'm not.
bet you do.
Oh,
You
I
got
do.
to have
Yeah.
a one piece suit right now. I
I do have
guarantee you.
I have a
Yeah,
one piece 90s style suit. It's beautiful.
of course you do.
Anyways, my daughter likes to ski,
Yeah.
and I took her to a lesson. I kind of taught her a little bit, and we're at the same level of skiing. We can get down the hill, get faster. And we're riding up the hill the other day on the ski lift. And the hill that you are riding over top of is one level up, like it's the next level. It was like a blue square or something, and we were green circling it over to the right in the piggy bank. We were down at Pete's Elbow in the piggy bank. It's two runs. I wouldn't try it, like if you're a first timer. No, so we were done the basic run. I go, next time we come, we should do this hill. And she goes, why don't we just do it right now? And I said, well, I don't think I'm ready for it yet. She goes, well, how do you know you're not? My daughter's 9.
Hmm.
She's like, "How do you know you're not ready unless you try it?" She goes, "Because we'll come back next time and we'll say, 'Let's do it the next time. Let's just go down it
You won't.
now and we'll love it.'" That came out of my 9-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
And
There's,
there's power in that.
yeah, man.
There's power to be able to shift another human being's perspective, but there's power in being able to shift your human being's perspective, and I am my daughter's human being. I am her heart and her soul, and she has the ability as a 9-year-old to shift my perspective. One of the hard-headed, most hard-headed mother whatever in the world. That's power. There's power behind that, man. And that, you know what that is? That's those moments that when those moments happen to you, you take those moments and you use them as lessons to show you that some of the most fundamental and basic things needed to be happy is just believing in yourself. Being able to fucking believe in yourself will cure 90% of the problems that you have. The other 10% you need to just follow through. That's a
Yeah.
whole nother ballgame. I'm not there yet.
It just comes back to the, there is going to be no perfect time to take the leap of whatever it is that you're going towards, moving towards, whether it's the business you want to create or, start, or the trip you want to take, or maybe it's flying for the first time. There's never going to be a perfect time, and you're never going to regret just taking that step ever. Like there's
Hmm.
never been a time where I've been presented with an opportunity that I just said, well, I don't like, there's plenty of times where I'm like, oof, I don't know if I'm ready. And I just do it. And I'm just like so fucking excited that I did it. Even if I sucked, I'm just so excited that I took the leap and I took that step because there's so much growth in it. And there's
Yeah.
just, it's another notch in believing in yourself more and more. Um, Wayne, I got my final two questions I want to ask you.
Okay, man.
One, this is my show is about being raw, open, vulnerable. Is there something I want something vulnerable from Wayne that maybe he hasn't shared too much of with too many people? What do you got?
You know what? I like this, man. I'm firing right off you. So I'll tell you this. Um, when I met, and Joey and I talked about this the other day, and we didn't talk about this question, which I like because I don't like pre whatever stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember a post that Joey made, really like right after we started talking, you reached out to me, said, welcome. You taught me about, welcome to the collective, soul fam, and like this. You left me a voice message saying that you feel like I'm doing big things. You just had my back, and it was a really cool moment. And I listened to one of your posts, and you said it doesn't matter how healed you are, and I'm probably messing it up. You said no matter how good you feel, don't stop journaling. And I was like, I don't journal. Like that was just a post you made. I'm like, I I listened to that post. I'm like, I don't even. Oh shit, I don't journal. And I thought about it. I talked about it for a year, about journaling. And at my birthday, my daughter and her mom bought me this leather bound journal, and she told she tells me, she goes, Dad, you can write your book in there because I'm writing a book, and the book's called Squirrel: The Chaotic Brain's Guide to 80 or to Self Love. And it's just basically what we're talking about here. But I started writing in this thing, and I write in it like every day. Every day I write in this thing, and I sign every quote. And so it's all my most vulnerable stuff. So I'll find something in here.
I love
Can you
this.
ask me the other question, and I'll look for
The other
this?
question, okay. What does being alive mean to you? Like really being alive? What does that mean to Wayne?
Um, well, maybe I can't do both things at once. That's really hard.
We just talked
Uh,
about squirrel. I'm like, there's no way we're doing this.
no, you know what? I'm not. I'm just starting to live. You can do all of the things, and you can go to all of the places, and you can be the life of the party, and you can have $1 billion in the bank and still have never lived. You know, being alive is having the ability to know that um, you're living for your legacy.
Hmm.
At the end of the day, we are a speech behind a podium. That is it. But it is our responsibility to help the people write that speech. And I said this in quotes before. I said, when somebody writes my speech, I want it to say, I knew Wayne Hanna for this many years, and he was one of the raddest motherfuckers to ever grace me with his presence.
I love it.
And
Yeah.
it's finding a way to help somebody write your speech. It's finding a way to live your legacy your way, not nobody else. Stop with doing what other people want you to do. It has nothing to do with them. They don't have to feel what you feel when you're sick. They don't have to feel what you feel when you're sad. They don't have to feel what you feel when you're taking a hard poop. You know, this I find humor in my stuff, but like everything you do, it's for you. So just live and be unapologetic and don't be cruel. You can do it without your ego.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need your ego. Hmm. This is funny.
This better not be a poop story. I think we had enough poop stuff.
No. I don't even know why I'm talking about that. It's funny. I found it, so I'm just
My
gonna.
my dad just, I had to put this up there. My dad even just posted something, said awesome stuff, son. So that means a lot to me. So I had to throw
That's
that up.
huge. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, dads are the best, eh?
Yeah, I'm not gonna cry. No, I'm not
It's
fucking doing
funny
it.
because this is my vulnerable moment. I am so scared of being alone, but yet I know I'm surrounded by so many people that care about me.
Yeah, man.
And my biggest fear was that I would never fall in love because I've never been in love before, not with my ex-wife, not with, I love my children. And I knew that because I loved my children, I'd be able to that I love myself. And I knew that I was capable of loving another human being. And I am actually in love with a human being. Like I'm madly in love with my girlfriend. Like she's just the most wonderful woman on the planet. And she came out of nowhere and it's been organic and magical.
Came out
And
of came out of nowhere, Wayne.
well, you know what I mean. It was all meant to.
Don't make me go
Um,
there.
but
Yeah.
like I was scared, so fucking scared. I mean, we pushed each other away a couple times, but because I'm so scared to be alone that I push everybody away because I feel like it's just easier to be alone than to be let down.
Right.
But I'm the only one that's ever let myself down. Guys, I'm the only one that ever let myself down. Nobody else has ever let me down except me. And nobody's ever let you down except you. It's just how you choose to put the blame, which it can be a result of another human being. But at the end of the day, it's up to you to hold on to it or not. But the most important thing about that is one, trust your intuition, right? And know that it is your process and you have to go through it your way, but trust that there has to be a moment. You don't need a date or a time when you're going to get over something or through something. You just need to acknowledge that right now you're going to be here, but later on you're going to
Right.
use it as a humbling experience. And
Right.
I want to say one more thing, man. I have to say this.
Please do.
The biggest thing in my mental health shift was, and the biggest problem I have in a lot of my life is that I bite off more than I can chew. And I think as a society and as human beings, we often bite off more than we can chew. And if you're at a place in your journey where you are trying to get out of this negative spot, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to stop chasing positivity. I want you to stop chasing after a positive mindset. You're not there yet, chase a humbled mindset.
Mm.
Chase a humbled mindset and stay there for a while, because when you can stay humbled for a while and then move on to a positive mindset, when there's a setback, it's not going to be negative. It's just going to humble you. And then you'll be able to get back to your positive place. Slow down on your growth and just let yourself grow. There's the only cancel culture with you is your own fate. Slow down with your growth and embrace the shit that you go through, you know? Anyways,
I'll touch on that too, because you know, we want to jump into the healing. We want to jump into fixing ourselves, right? And whatever that looks like. And we can get caught up in biting off more than we can chew. Journaling. I'm going to meditate for an hour. I'm going to watch this every morning. I'm going to do this every morning. And then the routine becomes this sophisticated machine, this big ass thing. And then you don't do one or two of these things. And then you feel like you're a failure. And then all of a sudden the wheels fall off. One thing that resonates with you. Take if there's just one thing you got to change, because that for me what it was is like I got to change shit in my life. I got to stop doing these things, but I got to start doing stuff, different things. So one thing was my cell phone. Cell phone was gone. I read books. I for 6 months I used a slide. I bought on Amazon a slide Nokia text phone with no data. It was
that's drastic.
But that was after a near-death experience and a bunch of other things. But regardless, it's neither here nor there. 6 months, I went no data on my cell phone, no smartphone, and I read a book instead of texting or mindlessly scrolling. I was reading stuff that was uplifting and helping me out. But that was the thing. My meditations were meh, and then everything kind of evolved from there. And then more, I started to add things. Do one thing, change one thing in your life that you know isn't working, and replace it with something that you heard might work. You know, and if it doesn't resonate with you, fuck it, leave it. But then move on to the next thing, and then you can go. Maybe it's journaling, because journaling hasn't been a big thing for me lately. But for some people, it's the thing. It's the thing that really gets them moving again or feeling differently. So
you need to be able to walk away from people and things. You need to be able to walk away knowing that there's an opportunity to come back.
yeah,
But sometimes things don't serve us properly. You know, if it doesn't serve you, if it doesn't serve you, you know, in a positive light, then you don't need it, because it's gonna tear you down. It doesn't matter how strong you are; it's gonna tear you down. And just it's being true to yourself. It's funny because I the little successes, like that's a huge success to me. I stopped sleeping with my cell phone in my room. It stays out here, and it's
yeah,
changed me.
it's huge. Yeah, 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 man, brother.
Communicating has changed me. Oh,
Yeah,
we gotta shut this
we
down,
got to
man.
shut her down, brother. But I thank you, man. That
It
was
was a
fun.
blast. I really
Yeah,
appreciate I tried to read the comments, guys, but I'm not very good at that stuff.
there's a lot of comments. You can always hang out and read them after if you want.
Yeah,
But
I'll read a few. I'll read a
we'll do
few for sure.
we're gonna connect again. We'll do some more thing. I'll have you back on the show too, maybe in a little while, and we'll reconnect, see where you're at with all your. And you got a lot of things going on, so
Yeah, I do. And you gotta people come check out our podcast.
yeah. So what's it called? Tell me what's going on. Tell everybody else what's happening. And
So yeah, so if you're not following me, come follow me. I do some pretty fun content. You can get me at Good Morning Assholes on TikTok or on Instagram or my website we've been building. But I have a podcast called the Zen AF Podcast. It's with Alex Scooby. He's the actor I was telling you about. We do every episode one a week, and you can get us at zenafpod.com or find us on all of the things. And we don't rehearse. We have a lot of these conversations, but it's a comedy podcast, and it's worth your time. We're in the top 200 top 100 in comedy podcasts in Canada, and we're in the top like 150 for podcasts in the United States right
that's
now.
huge, man.
So, you know, we're sneaking in. So yeah, check us out. It's a lot of fun.
You're doing big things, man. I appreciate you and your energy and everything you bring to the world every day. And I also love your jumpsuits and your track suits, and even your what was it, Buffalo Bill dance, which kind of gave you.
Yeah, that's there's some left to be desired. Listen, I appreciate what you put out and your meditations, and I appreciate, you know, like this friendship that we're building, and I'd love to have more of these chats for sure.
Thank you, and thank you everybody else for being here. If you missed some of it, it will be on my YouTube. Not the last one, but this one. I'm going to get this audio thing figured out by next week. I promise. won't have this hiccup again. But thank you, everybody. Next week again, Wednesday, 7:30. I'm going to have Michael Ferreira, my brother from another mother, on here talking more greatness and mindful-ish stuff.
Mindful-ish.
Mindful-ish
All
stuff.
right, people.
All right, guys.
I love
Take
you
care.
all in a weird and platonic way.
See you guys.